Every night, their husky blocked the nursery door, and they had no idea why. It turned out someone was secretly entering their home, convinced the baby inside was his long-lost brother. No one noticed the danger until the dog refused to let anyone through. But just wait until you see the chilling twist that changed everything, and how justice, in the end, found its way. It started on the very first night they brought Noah home from the hospital. Megan and Kyle Thompson, exhausted and overwhelmed but glowing with joy, tucked their newborn into the white bassinet by the window and finally collapsed onto the living room couch for a moment of silence. Outside, their husky Luna had been pacing. As soon as the nursery light dimmed, she quietly trotted down the hallway and lay flat across the doorway to Noah's room. They didn't think much of it then. In fact, Megan smiled, her head resting on Kyle's shoulder. "She's guarding him," she whispered, and for a moment it felt comforting, sweet even. But the same thing happened the next night, and the night after that. By the end of the first week, Luna had established a pattern. Every night, like clockwork, she would settle down at the nursery door around 11:30 p.m. and wouldn't move until dawn. At first, they thought it was instinct. Huskies are loyal, protective. Maybe she could hear Noah breathing, or maybe it was the sound of his soft little cries that drew her close. But things slowly began to feel off. Luna's body language changed. Her ears perked unnaturally, like she was alert to something they couldn't see. She stopped responding when called. She ignored treats. If Kyle tried to gently guide her away, she'd let out a low, steady growl. One night, when he attempted to lift her by the collar, she twisted sharply and snapped at the air near his hand. Not enough to hurt him, but enough to send a chill through his chest. That was not like Luna. She had been their gentle giant for 4 years. The kind of dog who let neighborhood kids dress her in hats and scarves, who slept belly up in sunbeams and howled at microwave beeps. She was goofy, affectionate, and had never shown an ounce of aggression. Now, she wouldn't leave the nursery door, as if something or someone was behind it. Megan tried to rationalize it. "Maybe she's just adjusting," she told her mother during a 2 a.m. feeding session. "New baby, new smells, hormones, I don't know." But the truth was, she didn't believe her own explanation. The way Luna stared down the hallway some nights, unmoving. The way her fur bristled when Noah cried, not like a dog worried about her pack, but like a sentinel on alert. Kyle didn't want to worry Megan, but he felt it too. Something wasn't right. So, the following evening, as Luna took her usual place by the nursery door, he quietly installed a motion-activated baby monitor above the crib, one with night vision, sound detection, and cloud backup. "Just to see what's going on," he said, keeping his voice low. Megan nodded, arms crossed. Neither of them said what they were really thinking. That maybe Luna wasn't just being protective. That maybe she was protecting them from something else. What they'd find on the footage would change everything. That night, Luna took her place at the nursery door, as she always did. Megan gave her a soft pat on the head, but Luna didn't respond. She was staring straight ahead, her body tense, ears tilted forward like radar. Kyle had activated the camera hours earlier. It was silent, nearly invisible in the corner above the crib. The room looked peaceful in grayscale. Noah was asleep, curled on his side in a tight little bundle. For nearly an hour, nothing happened. Noah shifted once, murmured in his sleep. Luna didn't move. The house was quiet, save for the occasional creak of settling wood. Megan and Kyle had gone to bed, not expecting much, but just in case, Kyle left the feed running on his tablet screen. It was 12:17 a.m. when everything changed. The hallway camera picked up a sound, barely audible over the ambient white noise. Click. Not loud, but distinct. Then another one. Closer. Luna raised her head instantly, her eyes fixed on the doorknob. Her posture changed in seconds. Back straight, tail stiff, shoulders lowered. She looked ready. Then the nursery door handle twitched. Once. Then again. At first it looked like a draft. Maybe the HVAC kicking on. Maybe old hinges. But then it turned, slowly, purposefully, and held there, halfway rotated. Luna stood up and growled, not a playful bark, not even a warning. This was something deeper, primal. Her throat vibrated with a low, steady growl, and she positioned herself directly in front of the door, muscles locked, eyes locked. Then, with an almost imperceptible motion, the door pushed in, just slightly, no more than half an inch. But enough. Enough to prove there was weight behind it. Pressure. Something, or someone, was on the other side. The video ended there. The camera, motion-based, returned to standby mode after Luna stopped moving. When Kyle reviewed the footage the next morning, he didn't speak for a full minute. He just held the tablet in both hands, watching the same 10 seconds on loop. Megan, still in her robe, leaned in behind him. She gasped, covering her mouth. They rewound it, slowed it down, frame by frame. And that's when they saw it. At the very edge of the hallway feed, just 2 seconds before the door moved, a shadow crossed the frame. Not a trick of the light, not a curtain swaying or a car driving by. It was a figure, human-shaped, tall, thin, and moving with deliberate silence. It paused near Noah's door, then disappeared from view, right as the doorknob began to turn. Kyle's voice broke the silence. "Who's in our house?" They checked every door, every window. Everything was locked. Nothing was broken. Nothing missing. Nothing out of place. Oh, except their peace of mind. Megan didn't want to spend another night in that house without answers. Kyle agreed. By mid-morning, they had sent the footage to the local police. And just hours later, an officer called back. "There's more here than just a break-in," he said. "We need to come over, immediately." What they would discover next would force them to question everything they thought they knew about their home, and about why Luna had been guarding Noah's door all along. The basement window had been tampered with. That was the first thing the detectives confirmed. The lock had scratch marks along the frame, signs of repeated entry, clean, quiet, and careful. Someone had been slipping in and out of the Thompson home under cover of night, but for how long? No one could say. "There's no sign of forced access anywhere else," one of the officers told Kyle. "That window's the only weakness. Whoever this was, they knew the layout, they knew the blind spots, and they knew how to avoid every one of your cameras, except the new one you just installed." Megan stood silently nearby, arms crossed tightly over her chest, her eyes fixed on the floor. The officer's voice softened. "You did the right thing calling us." 2 days later, the phone rang again. The suspect had been found. His name was Eli Matthews, 27 years old, no current address, no family. He had once lived in the very same house 15 years earlier during a brief and turbulent stint in foster care. The records described him as withdrawn, fragile, a boy who barely spoke. He had been placed in a dozen homes before this one, and after leaving it, he never stayed anywhere for long. Recently, Eli had been released from a long-term care facility. No transition plan, no place to go, so he came back. He found the house still standing, though it looked different now. Fresh paint, a newer fence, toys in the yard, and in the window, he saw the soft blue glow of a baby's nightlight. A nursery. According to his confession, that moment unraveled something deep inside him. He didn't break in with the intent to harm. He believed truly that Noah was his baby brother, that the cries he heard at night were cries he'd once ignored, that he had come back to protect what he'd lost. In his own words, he was checking that the baby was okay now, that he wasn't crying like before. Megan cried when she heard that, not just out of fear, but from something else. Grief, maybe, for a broken boy they never knew, whose pain had silently crossed their threshold. Kyle couldn't look at the officers as they explained. His jaw was tight, his hands clenched at his sides. There was anger there, yes, but it wasn't simple anger. It was the kind that mixes with sorrow, the kind you don't quite know where to put. And Luna? She stayed at the nursery door that night too, But when news came that Eli was in custody, her posture changed. She stood up, stretched, and padded into the living room on her own. It was the first time in weeks she hadn't guarded the door through the night. She knew. Later that evening, as Megan sat on the floor folding baby blankets, Luna curled up beside her, resting her head in Megan's lap. Her tail thumped softly, once, then again. For the first time in weeks, the house felt still, safe. "We thought we rescued her," Megan said quietly, running her fingers through Luna's fur. "But the truth is, she saved us." And somehow, everyone in that room knew. It was true.